My mother-in-law smirked and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, Adriana, not everyone can afford class." The whole dinner table went silent, and all eyes turned to me, the poor girl my husband had married. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe, like, and share, because what happened next will make you believe in karma. I sat there, holding my breath, forcing a smile as her words stabbed deeper than the steak knife beside my plate. My husband Ryan said nothing, not even a glance in my defense. His silence hurt more than her insult. Across the table, his sister Claire giggled and whispered something to her fiancé, who tried to hide his laugh. They'd invited me to this family dinner to celebrate Claire's engagement. But from the moment I walked in, I knew it wasn't about family. It was about showing me my place. I could see it in their glances, polished, judgmental, waiting for me to break. "Tell us, Adriana," his father said, sipping his wine. "How's that little job of yours going? What was it again? Online something." The sarcasm dripped from his voice. I took a sip of water, trying to stay calm. "It's going well," I said softly. "Actually better than expected." Claire rolled her eyes. "Better than expected?" That's what people say when they're barely surviving. The laughter that followed was cruel, the kind that makes your chest tighten. They didn't know. They had no idea that the little online job they mocked was actually a tech startup, one that had just been valued at $4.5 million after a silent partnership deal. Ryan had told me to keep it quiet for now, to not make things awkward with his family. But as I watched them laugh, something inside me snapped. I remembered the nights I stayed awake coding until dawn while they were on vacations. The sacrifices, the loneliness, the way they made me feel like I was less when I was building something they couldn't even imagine. And now, as they poured their expensive wine and laughed at my small life, I realized something. It was time to stop hiding. I leaned forward, smiled sweetly, and said, "Actually, there's something I've been meaning to share with everyone tonight." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Oh, did you finally get promoted to customer support manager or something?" I smiled wider. "Not exactly, but you could say I just became your new boss." The laughter died instantly. Forks froze midair. Ryan's mother blinked. "What do you mean, dear?" she asked, her tone suddenly careful. I looked at her, calm, confident, and deadly serious. "Because your family's company," I said softly, "was just acquired by mine." The color drained from her face as the entire table went silent, and that was just the beginning. Ryan's fork clattered against his plate. "Adriana, what are you talking about?" he stammered, his voice trembling between confusion and fear. I turned to him, still calm. "Your father's company, North Edge Logistics, right? Well, a private investor group finalized the buyout last week. I didn't plan to bring it up tonight, but since everyone's so interested in my little job..." Claire's fake smile vanished. "You're lying," she said sharply. "You don't even have a real office." I laughed softly. "You're right. I don't. I have a headquarters downtown. 2 floors, actually." Ryan's father leaned forward, his tone icy. "Do you expect us to believe that someone like you could afford to buy a multi-million-dollar company?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Not someone like me, Mr. Walker. Someone exactly like me." For a moment, the room was dead silent, only the soft clink of a glass shifting on the table. His mother looked pale, her lips twitching. This must be some kind of joke," I smiled. "You'll get the official documents tomorrow morning. The acquisition was signed under my company, Lunar Systems. You might have heard of it. We specialize in AI-based logistics software, the same technology your company recently started testing." Ryan's face went white. "Wait, you're that Lunar Systems?" Claire scoffed, shaking her head. "No way. That company's worth millions." 4.5, actually, I said quietly. "But who's counting?" His father pushed his chair back, anger flickering in his eyes. "You've been spying on us? Playing games with my business?" I stayed composed. "No, I've been working. While you all were busy mocking me, I was building something real, something powerful." His mother tried to regain control. "You could have told us," she said bitterly. "We're family, Adriana." I looked at her with a sad smile. "Family doesn't laugh when you're struggling. Family supports you. You never saw me as one of you." Just a girl who wasn't good enough for your perfect son. Ryan swallowed hard, guilt washing over his face. Adriana, I didn't know. I cut him off. You knew how they treated me, Ryan. You just didn't care enough to stop them. The air grew heavy. No one moved. No one spoke. Then Claire forced a laugh, trying to recover her pride. Okay, fine. Let's say you really bought the company. You still think that makes you better than us? I leaned back, my smile returning. No, Claire. I don't think it makes me better. I paused, my tone turning colder. It just means I'm the one signing your paycheck now. The color drained from her cheeks. Ryan's father's jaw tightened. His mother lowered her gaze. For the first time that evening, no one had anything to say. And just when I thought the silence couldn't get heavier, Ryan's phone buzzed. He looked down at the screen, and his eyes widened in panic. He glanced at me, then back at his parents. Dad, it's from the board. What does it say? His father demanded. Ryan's voice shook. They want to schedule an emergency meeting tomorrow. With the new owner. All eyes turned to me. I simply smiled. Guess I'll see you all at the office. But what they didn't know, the real shock, was still coming. Ryan's face turned ghost white, his hand trembling as he put down his phone. Adriana, we need to talk, he whispered, his voice barely audible. His mother jumped in instantly, desperate to regain control. There's nothing to talk about, she snapped. You may own shares, but you'll never be one of us. I gave her a calm smile. Oh, I'm not trying to be. I'm here for something much bigger. Claire scoffed again, rolling her eyes. Right. Bigger, like your imaginary empire built from your laptop? Her arrogance almost made me laugh. But before I could respond, Ryan's father's phone buzzed next. He looked at the screen. And the moment he saw the email subject, his entire expression shifted from rage to dread. Subject, ownership transfer confirmation. Lunar Systems acquisition completed, he read aloud, his voice cracking. The color drained from everyone's faces. I stayed quiet, letting the truth sink in. The same people who mocked my tiny business now realized their entire company, their legacy, belonged to me. Ryan's mother's voice trembled. You planned this, didn't you? I looked her dead in the eye. No, you planned to humiliate me tonight. I just let karma arrive early. Ryan stood up suddenly, panic in his eyes. Adriana, please. We should talk privately. I crossed my arms. Sure. Let's talk about the email I found on your laptop last month. The room froze. Ryan's face went pale. What email? He stuttered. Don't act like you don't know, I said, my voice cold now. The one where you and Claire were planning to leak my client data to your father's company, to sabotage my business before it took off. His mother gasped. Ryan, tell me that's not true. Claire panicked. She's lying. She's just trying to make us look bad. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward them. These are the original screenshots. And guess what? My legal team already saw them. Ryan's father slammed his hand on the table. You betrayed your own wife? He shouted at Ryan. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. Dad, I thought her company was a threat to ours. I didn't know she'd... I cut him off sharply. Didn't know I'd what? Succeed? Be smarter than you thought? I stayed quiet while you mocked me, Ryan. I stayed quiet while you and your sister planned behind my back. But not anymore. His mother's voice cracked. You're ruining this family. I looked around the table, my tone steady and ice cold. No, you ruined it the moment you decided I wasn't worthy of it. Ryan tried to reach for my hand, his voice breaking. Adriana, please. You have to understand. I made a mistake. I pulled my hand away. You made many. The silence that followed was suffocating. You could feel the fear, the regret, the realization that everything they'd done had come back for them. Then I leaned forward slightly, my voice calm but final. And since the company belongs to me now, I think it's time for some restructuring. Claire blinked. What does that mean? I smirked. It means you might want to start updating your resumes. But just as I stood up to leave, Ryan whispered something that froze me in place. Adriana, you don't know everything. The company, it's not just yours now. There's something you haven't seen yet. I turned slowly, my heart pounding. What do you mean? He looked terrified. Someone else owns the other half. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean someone else owns the other half? I asked, my voice sharp. Ryan looked down, guilt washing over his face. Before the acquisition was finalized, Dad brought in a silent investor. Someone powerful. They bought 50% under a private trust. Claire smirked weakly, trying to sound confident again. So looks like you're not as powerful as you thought, Adriana. I narrowed my eyes. Who's the investor? No one spoke. Ryan hesitated, then finally whispered, Your business partner, Lucas. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Lucas, the one person I trusted most in lunar systems, the man who helped me build it from scratch. Lucas? I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. You're lying, Ryan shook his head. Check your email. He signed it this morning. I opened my phone, scrolling fast, and there it was. Partnership confirmation, Lucas Investments, plus North Edge Holdings. My stomach turned cold. He had gone behind my back. The deal wasn't entirely mine. Half my empire now belonged to someone else. Ryan's father leaned back with a satisfied smile. Looks like the tables turned again, didn't they? I clenched my fists under the table, hiding the storm inside me. I wasn't going to let them see me break. Not now, not ever. I forced a small smile. Maybe, but partnerships can change. Just like people, Claire laughed. Face it, Adriana, you'll never win completely. I looked at her, my voice calm but dangerous. You'd be surprised how easily I do. Because deep down, I already had a plan forming, and Lucas had no idea what was coming. That night, I barely slept. I stared at my laptop screen, reading Lucas's name over and over on the contract. The betrayal cut deeper than anything my in-laws had ever said. He wasn't just my partner, he was my friend, my ally, the one who told me, we rise together. By morning, my sadness had burned into determination. They wanted a war. I'd give them one. When I arrived at the North Edge office, everyone froze. The whispers followed me down the hallway. That's the new owner. She's the one who bought us out. Ryan's family was already waiting in the conference room, tension thick in the air. And there he was, Lucas, sitting comfortably beside Ryan's father, acting like he belonged there. Adriana, he greeted smoothly, pretending nothing was wrong. Let's talk business. I walked to the head of the table, my heels clicking with purpose. Business? I repeated coldly. You mean betrayal? He leaned back casually. Don't be dramatic. I did what was best for the company. We needed stronger backing. I smiled faintly. You're right, we did. Which is why I made a few moves last night. Ryan frowned. What moves? I turned my laptop toward them. While you were all sleeping, Lucas, I bought out your investors. Quietly. Every share they held, now under my name. Lucas's confident grin vanished. That's not possible. It is, I said calmly. I know every loophole in our contract because I wrote it. Ryan's father stood abruptly. You can't do this. We have rights. I met his glare. You had rights. Past tense. Silence fell. Claire's voice cracked. So, you own everything now? I nodded slowly. Every single share. Every decision. Every paycheck. Lucas looked furious. You planned this? I stepped closer, my tone icy. No, you planned to take half of what I built. I simply finished what you started. Better. Ryan stared at me, guilt all over his face. Adriana, are you leaving me? I looked at him one last time. You left me the moment you stood with them. I gathered my files, turned to the stunned room and said quietly, Meeting's over. As I walked out, the staff in the hallway stood, watching, not with judgment this time, but with respect. The woman they once called the quiet wife had become the boss everyone feared. Outside, the sun was rising. I took a deep breath and smiled to myself. They tried to humiliate me. They tried to control me. But in the end, they had to bow to me. And this time, I wasn't hiding my crown anymore.